Good evening, everybody. I am Carolina Cooney, the programming coordinator for the Oak Bluffs Public Library, and it is Saturday night. That means it's time for Cooking with Carolina Live. And as always, I would like to thank the Library Friends of Oak Bluffs for sponsoring the program and providing all the ingredients. So, tonight we are going to be making empanadas. Ooh, I'm very excited. I have never made empanadas before, so this is going to be a first time, very exciting endeavor. Hopefully it will turn out very well. And let's see. So the first thing that we're going to do is to chop up some green pepper. Said a small green pepper. I would not say this is exactly small, but it's hard to find small green peppers. And also a small onion, so not exactly the smalls, but we will do our best with them. So we're going to chop these up. I'm going to go rinse this guy off. And I have my bowls here handy. Oh, actually, I'm going to start the night off with a little excitement as well. Got the hands thing going tonight. We're gonna sharpen my knife first. I love sharpening knives. It feels very exciting, slightly dangerous. And it really makes a huge difference when you're cooking. So, now we should be good to go. Empanadas are a traditional dish of South America and probably Central America also, maybe Spain. Can't say for sure about that one. But when I was 15, I was an exchange student of sorts down in Bolivia, which is in South America. And there were definitely a lot of empanadas there. And ever since then, I've wanted to make them. And now finally, many, many years later, here we are, making empanadas. Which is also why I say it's so funny, empanadas. So when you're cutting or chopping, you want to think about your ingredients all going into this little, basically what it is a meat hand pie. So we're going to want to chop fairly finely. I don't want big old chunks of green pepper in my meat pie. I expect a vegetarian version of empanadas would also be very, very good. But I'm going for the more traditional beef version. Now we'll do our other half. And it does speed up your chopping a bit to cut your pepper in fairly thin slices to begin with. That way you can kind of turn it, chop them again, and then you're already working with fairly small pieces. Looking pretty good. Time to chop some onion. And here you want to do the same thing when you do your slices, do them nice and thin. You want to have your onion and your pepper be similar sizes. Knife sharpening really makes a difference. Throw a few extra chops in there for good measure. Okay, so now we are going to saute this. We'll saute the onion first in some olive oil. So we have our little olive oil here, we have our pan. Get it nice and hot. Just a little oil, not too much. Wait for the pan to get a little hotter. We're heating it up over about a medium heat. So you're not going all the way high here. Not way high. Just medium high. here. I'll shift you just a little bit. A little bit more. There we go. Okay. So let's put her in. Oh yeah, we got a sizzle going. So we'll just throw it all in there. Oh, already smells super good. Little onion stuck together there. Chop it up. And this really looks like it could be the basis for a lot of delicious meals. Good pasta sauce. Yum. I don't cook a lot with green pepper. Sometimes I think it can be a little overwhelming. Turn the heat up just a wee bit. Okay, we'll let that cook just a minute or two, and we will prepare our beef here that we put in. Now with the beef, I always like to get the 90% lean variety. I find anything less is just too greasy. You have to drain it. I just don't care for it. But the 90% works quite well. Give a little stir here. And so we want to saute this until the onions are translucent, where you can see through them just a little. Nice color combination too. That's going. Stay close, but you can do a little cleanup. And we can gather some of our other ingredients together also. So we have some green onions, pardon me, green olives, some raisins, some honey, That's what's in our future. We're not quite there yet with these onions and peppers. Just another minute or two. We're getting there though. Alrighty, we're looking pretty good now. I'm going to put in our meat, and you use the whole pound. Alright, wash, wash. Of course, my meat is still a little frozen in the middle, but we can work with that. We're going to turn it down just a little. Going down to a medium, straight medium. So we are testing the limits of this pan too. I could have used the bigger one. But I didn't. So when you're working with beef that is not completely thawed, you just kind of chip away at it as it cooks. And it doesn't take too long, but you do want to do that on a lower temperature so you're not browning it too much. Uh-oh, there's a little. So that is one thing I would add to this recipe. Use a 10-inch skillet, or a 12-inch skillet rather than a 10. Almost down to it. I would like to say that this doesn't happen often. Saute all day. Some rosé actually sounds nice right about now. Not in this recipe. Okay, we'll give that a second there. We did it. We have conquered the frozen chunk. Now we can carefully start mixing it all together. And you do want to break up your meat, have it all mixed together, nice consistency to go inside the meat patties. Pardon me one moment. Okay, we're looking pretty good here. Just a little tiny bit of pink left to the meat, but that will be gone in about 30 seconds or so. So now we are going to slice up some of these olives. We're going to measure out 2/3 of a cup. Which is not a shy amount of olives. Everything in this is a lot, I would say. All right. Poured off the excess juice there. Smaller knife. Let's shift. And I'm not going to perfectly slice these. I'm just going to chop them up like I did the other things. You can also use olives with pimentos in them, if that's your thing. Or you could even leave out the olives altogether. Okay, so we'll add in our olives here. And then raisins, let's see, we need 3/4 of a cup of raisins. Good gracious. Let's see. That's probably about what I have left in here. I really like using raisins, especially with meat. I think it's a great combination. I think dried fruit really in general is very good with meat. And it's definitely fairly common in Spanish and African cooking. There's our raisins. Really taking it to the limit here with this pan. Okay, what else do we have to go here? What else is going in? Not too much. Oh, I think we're gonna make it. So we have a teaspoon of honey, not much. And I'm just going to sort of guesstimate that. That looks just about right. And some salt. Definitely a nice amount of salt. Pepper. And dun, 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 hot sauce. Now let's see, a few shakes of hot sauce, several dashes. Now I have the chipotle hot sauce, which I am a huge fan of, as I've mentioned before on previous cooking shows. And I have a feeling that it's going to make this dish out of this world. So definitely a few dashes of that. And let's get this all stirred together. You could also use regular hot sauce though. Your favorite brand. And now I'm ever so carefully turning it in my too small saute pan. Looks good though. Looks good, smells good. That means it's probably going to be good. However, I have a feeling my children are not going to like this dish whatsoever. But you never know. I could be pleasantly surprised. So let's see, well that is finishing up. We want to cook it until the meat is golden brown and the liquid has pretty much evaporated. About 4 minutes. And then we need to prep our zone for rolling out some dough. And we also going to do a very interesting thing here. We need to separate some eggs. So let's see, let me give this a stir. That's all looking real good, real good. Okay, so we're separating our eggs. Let's turn us back a little this way. And so what we do, I think this is our second week separating eggs in a row. We are going to crack it carefully. Carefully. Take your top off. That didn't sound good. And then you gently, ever so gently, ooh, see, I did not do it well. These farm eggs from my chickens are delicate and the yolks break fairly easily. So I did break my yolk there, but I separated it mostly before and I didn't get any yolk in my white, so I would say I have succeeded. I did get some shell in them. Okay. There's one. We're separating 2 eggs. Give it a stir here. Okay, let's separate our other one. Carefully crack and open. and then gently back and forth. Nope, that one broke too. These crazy chickens. Okay, but we did a pretty good job. We have it separated in between the yolk and the white, which is what we wanted to achieve. So now I'm going to turn our meat mixture off, and we're going to, you can actually use the same bowl that you used to put your veggies in earlier. Bada boom. I don't need this anymore. Transfer all that mixture to a bowl. Okay, there we are there. Keep your spurtle handy. Now, we need to cool off this mixture. So, here on Martha's Vineyard, it is very, very cold today. It's probably, I think it's a wind chill factor of 16 or something like that. Feels like 16 outside. So I'm going to stick this just outside my door. Hopefully it won't get attacked in the few minutes we have it out there. I love taking chances. So we'll do that, and then we'll get to work on our dough. So be right back. Okay, now it is time to roll out our dough. We can just put these eggs aside for now. We'll use them in a little bit. We're going to preheat our oven to 375. And we will line our baking sheet. Now I have these handy dandy pop-up parchment sheets, so I'm going to use that to line my baking sheet. I love the way things cook on parchment, big fan. And now we need to roll out our dough, so we're shifting to over here a bit. And we have our pre-made dough here. Can't have y'all here that long. And we need to flour our surface. And these little shakers are great for a nice even flouring. And flour your rolling pin. And we'll take our dough and roll it out, hopefully well. Into a nice disc of dough. And sometimes along the way you need to reflour. And of course you want to roll it thin, but not too thin. Which I don't think is the easiest thing, but we can do it. And since we're not actually making a pie crust that will go in a pie plate, it doesn't have to be perfectly round. Which is a good thing since mine's not. Okay, I think that's about as good as we're gonna get it. So, how do I want to do this now? I have to think about it for a moment. We're going to make some circles. And I guess we'll just put those to the side while we gather them together. So, you want something that is about 5 inches across or so. And take it, put it to the uttermost edge of your crust that's been rolled out so you can make use of it as well as possible. Now you can use a knife to cut around this, which I may end up doing, but if this works, that's also going to be pretty cool. Almost. I need to get just a smaller knife. Little bit. All right. There's one. Marvelous. And of course, just do your best when you're cutting out your circles. There's going to be extra dough. Those are the scraps. Ooh, that time worked pretty well. Ta-da! I like this method because, for me, I think it's a lot more effective than using a knife and trying to cut around it. And hopefully, we'll try to get 2 more out of this. I think so. Ooh, oh my. Just barely. Oh yeah, no problem. Okay, now we'll gather up our dough scraps. And as all you pie makers know, we'll roll it again! Yay! So, squeeze it all into a ball once again. I'm gonna go give that meat a little shuffle so it cools a little faster. Be right back. It is cold out there. I think after this I will be starting a fire and having some tea. Sounds delightful. A true New England evening. Okay, so here we are again. Flour up your rolling pin. Gently, gently. Ease that dough. I think rolling out dough is definitely an art form. To have that right amount of pressure without going too wild is not always easy. So when you're rolling it, you kind of want to think about the shape that we're going to be using. So, you know, I think if we're lucky here, we can get 2 more. So that's what I'm trying for. It does not always cooperate with your desires. And really, I don't think you can roll past 2 times here. As far as re-rolling your scraps, 2 is kind of the max. Though you can try it. But you'll probably be patching it up with some water and dealing with some pretty rickety dough. Rickety dough. I'm gonna do this one just a little more out here. Okay. We'll see about this one. We got 1. Can we get 2? I don't know. Maybe we can fudge it a little. This is gonna be some thin dough. Well, you know, close enough. It'll work. All right. See, like I said, we're getting a little delicate there. So now, I don't know, should we go for one more time? I guess we could go for one more time. Why not? So I'm getting just a little water on my fingertips to be able to meld the dough together in hopes that it can be rolled once more. You also don't want to overwork it, or so they say. Maybe we can eke one more out. Worth a try. Oh. Our oven is ready. I find this initial part the most crucial if you're to salvage your dough. There's something kind of meditative and relaxing about it, though. Rolling it out, trying to get it even. Until you mess it up. Then it's not meditative at all. like that. Yeah, I'm not so sure about it. Yes, nah, I don't know. Should I keep going? This probably is not worthy of our time. Yeah, I don't think so. Throwing in the towel on that one. So then we just have dough scraps, which when I was a kid, I loved to eat the dough scraps. Oh, it's so good. I'll try to refrain. Okay, now I'm going to go and grab our hopefully pretty cold meat since it is below freezing out there. One moment. Okay, so here we are. It is not fully cold, but it's the best we're gonna get for a live cooking show. So now what we do, it's not terrible. I don't think it's gonna cook the eggs when we put them in there, which is a plus. Now, you should cool this completely. I'm not cooling it completely, but it's cooled. Now we're gonna put the egg whites in to the mixture and just fold those in. Okay, I think my theme of tonight for everything is we're gonna need a bigger. If you've ever seen Jaws, this is where Jaws was filmed, on the island of Martha's Vineyard, where we are. And everything I've made, I want a bigger pan, a bigger bowl, all of it. Bigger. Bigger. So this looks pretty good though. It is still a little warm, but that's okay. So let's see, with half a disc of dough, I'm going to do this work. Let's see, where do we try to position myself so you guys can see. Not the easiest thing in this kitchen. Okay, now, place a 1/4 cup of filling on one side of the dough circle. I'm going to get a little, actually, you know, handy dandy, I'm going to use my little circle cutter to put some water in. So you just want a little water because you're going to use that to wet your fingertips to pinch your little circles of dough together. Actually, I think I'll go for a plate. Put that to the side. This reminds me a little of making wontons. So you can measure out your dough. I'm just gonna eyeball. It's not gonna take much in these little circles. Definitely could have done this with half as many ingredients. Actually, you can kind of use your, if you're using your hands to put in the filling, you can kind of use the filling moisture to make your dough stick. This part's a little tricky. Less is more. These are mini empanadas. So you don't want to put in too much filling because you need to have some dough to work with on the side to be able to crimp it all together here. going to make this whole batch, you're going to need a lot of dough. So now, we might need to put our fork in the water so it doesn't stick. So here, if you've seen empanadas before, they have that little crimped edge. You just use a fork for that. Little tricky. And then pinch a few little air holes in there. Ooh, look at that. So pretty. So exciting. Okay, we'll put that. I'm so pleased with myself. One down. Okay, let's get a little more meat. Again, remember to be mindful. This one could be a little, wet your edges a little. Push it down to leave a little border, ever so gently. Cram it in there if it's trying to escape. Okay. Once you're in there, take your fork. Kind of works. Maybe I'll work a little better on this than something with sides. Okay. Because it kind of works if you slide the fork out. When you're just pushing down and up, it tends to grab the dough a little too much. This is much better, actually. And then poke, poke, transfer. Next. Oh, this is so fun. So you could also, in the days when we had dinner parties, this would be a fun little thing to make with your guests at a dinner party. You could pre-do all the little dough bits.
Hello.
That's a special guest appearance by Dashiell.
Guys, look at my Lego spaceship I made. Pew, pew.
So you could pre-cut all your little dough circles and have your filling pre-made. And then everybody could stuff their own little empanadas. Ooh, you know what you could even do? I'm really liking this idea. You could even have it where you have like one dish of ground beef, one with onion, one with the green pepper. You could have your different ingredients in all different bowls, and then you could do your own little combinations. Wouldn't that be fun? Poke, poke, poke. I'm putting these at a little bit of an angle just so they fit on the sheet nicely. And yes, I am now fantasizing about this little dream dinner party I'm having.
Mom, is this sugar?
Yes. Okay, just that little bit of water on your fingers does come in handy when you're pressing your dough together, just to get a nice seal. Poke, poke. Ooh, I really like making these. This is super fun. Now this dough, well, we'll see which turns out better. I have one that's pretty thin, and this is a little thicker. This is literally going to use about 1/16 of the meat that I made. You could definitely go with a bit of a bigger circle, I would say. Probably at 6 to 8 inch would be more ideal. Well, let's see, we used about 5, maybe. I guess even 8 to 10 because you're folding it in half. There's something about the crimping here with the fork that's really satisfying. The finish. Dun, dun, dun. But you could definitely use this little small size for appetizers. Not exactly low calorie. Alright, and one last guide. No. 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 Okay. I think I've gotten a little heavier with the water as the pies have worn on. Yes, that was my victory music for creating the last one here. These are called empanadas. Empanadas.
What do they have in them, Mom?
They have meat.
Oh.
They're little meat hand pies.
So you can just...
Yes, please do not do that. They're not cooked yet. Okay, this one definitely took it to the limit a little with the filling. So very slight tearing on the side here, but we can justify that as being the little poke holes. So we'll squeeze that one on there too in the middle. Okay, now we have all the empanadas that we are making for the moment. Now we're going to beat, how convenient, I can just use this fork. We saved those egg yolks, so we're going to beat those with a little water, which we also have now here. And now you can use your hands or you can use a little pastry brush, and we're going to just give our empanadas a nice little egg wash. Now an egg wash was something that I always thought was kind of optional, but last time I made my challah bread I left it off, and in that case it was not optional. It really made a difference in how it cooked. So I won't be making that mistake again. I guess it kind of creates like a seal of the dough. I just realized I forgot to put the cumin in the meat mixture. I'll put some in for the next batch. So for the dough, if you're brave and have time, I feel like it is a little time consuming to make dough. You can make your own dough, or you can get one of those pre-made pie crusts and let it warm up, and then ball it up and roll it out. Okay, there we go. We have our empanadas here, all ready to go in the oven. We will cook them at 375 for about 20 to 25 minutes until they're golden brown. And then we'll do our taste test, and I'll put that in the comments. So I guess we're done. I really love making them. They were super fun, and I can't wait to taste them. So check back in the comments later to see how everything turned out. And thank you very much for joining me. See you next week.